What's going on YouTube? Back in the garage again. Today we're going to be pulling the dash out of the CRX to install the AC ducting delete. You don't necessarily need to pull the dash out to do this install. It just makes it a whole lot easier. Plus I got other things I need to install under the dash, so it just makes it a whole lot easier if I just pull the dash out. Now, if you're new to your channel, please like and subscribe. We got a lot more content coming out on the car. So check out my other videos to get caught up. I'm not going to be doing a step-by-step on how to pull the dash out. There's plenty of links on the internet to show you where all the bolts are and stuff like that. I just want to get it out and get this thing moving here. So stick with me. This is I'm going to try to do a time lapse on pulling the dash. Hopefully it works out. I've never done it before. So yeah, stay tuned. Let's just jump right into it. Alright guys, got the dash out. Now I'm going to show you the box that I'm going to be deleting to make more room for the wiring and all that from the wire tuck. There we go. It's this box right here. Just eliminate that, and in turn you have to put the new ducting in that place. Looks like it would have been best to pull that dash out to replace the ducting anyway. It doesn't look like you would be able to get to all the bolts. So, alright, I'm going to remove the box and put the new ducting in. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to also take the remaining wiring from the wire tuck. I'm going to put it up against the firewall. Alright, so as you can see, this is the AC box with your, it's like a condenser inside. No longer going to need that. And in place is going to be just this ducting. As you can see, this big giant block. It's taking up a bunch of room, and we eliminate or free up a bunch of room by just putting this ducting in. Okay, YouTube, I got the AC ducting delete in. I got the fuse box that used to be under the hood. I got that behind the ducting. Same with the rest of the wires that were a little low when the dash was in. It was just like almost touching your feet. They're all tucked underneath the ducting, and as you can see, it takes up a whole lot less room. So you got room between the firewall and the ducting that you put all your wires. Now the problem that I'm going to end up having, I believe, is in order for me to disconnect the wire harness to the motor, I'm going to have to, I think, pull the glove box out and remove the ducting in order to access the fuse box, so I can disconnect the one power wire from it, which isn't a big deal. I can deal with that. But now the ECU foot plate fits in with the ECU, doesn't hit anything, so we're getting closer. Next is I've got to run oil pressure gauge from my gauge pillar. I run the power wires and stuff over towards the ECU, and the wiring from the pods into the engine compartment. Alright, YouTube, so this is the oil pressure gauge. It's a newer style, I believe. Came with this wire harness that splits off into two directions. One goes to your pressure switch under the hood, and the other side is your power ground, and I believe it has like an analog and stuff, so you can record your oil pressure as your data logging. I probably am not going to use that. I'm just going to probably use the power and ground just to power it up, and other two I'm just going to tape off. And just set them aside, unless my tuner wants to run them. We'll just run them when the time comes. There should be just two wires, I believe, that we would have to run over to the ECU. But for right now, first thing I'm going to do is install the gauge and then start running the wire, or the wire harness. Alright, I got my gauge installed into my pod. Started running my wire down the side here. I drilled a hole into the OE plastic running it behind it. Now I gotta figure out, I might actually have to put this gauge on the bottom and change them, because the length of the wire that goes into the engine compartment doesn't seem to be really all that long. I'm gonna try it the way it is. I'm gonna tuck the wire and run it into the engine compartment, see if it'll reach. If it reaches, I'll just leave it the way it is. If not, I'll have to change it. Another thing that I'm gonna do, since the dash is out, is there's like a spaghetti mess of wiring down here from all my gauges. I want to redo that so it's nice and neat. And also, I mean, it carries on from over here all the way over, so I'm just gonna run through it and get that all straightened away and nice and neat, so if I run into any problems, I won't be pulling my hair out trying to chase wires. I don't know if I said in an earlier video or not, but the full wire harness in this car is from a CRX SI. This is a DX, so it was originally switched over to multi-point fuel injection, but whoever had a car before me did a piss poor job, and it was like almost a fire hazard, in my opinion, the way that they did it. So I just decided to pull all the wiring out and redo it with SI wiring. Another thing I have to do is, there's a little bit of a gap in between the blower motor and ducting. I have to get some new squishy insulation, and it's like strip, and I'm going to put a strip around both ends so it's nice and sealed off. And since I have that, I'm going to redo all the ducting sealing, so when I turn my air on, I get full blast of air. I'm not having any leaks anywhere. Since I got all worked apart, another thing I noticed was I had a mouse evidently rolling around in my car, so I gotta clean all that up, straighten up all the wiring. This looks like a total mess, but once you start getting into it, it's really all not that bad. You just have to take your time with it. But yeah, right now I'm just going to route this wire into the engine harness, our engine compartment, and then the other side of the harness will be your power and ground, and the other two I'm not using. I gotta see which color is which with the instructions, but I'm not running the analog to the ECU. I'm just want to see on the fly what my oil pressure is. It's a good idea to keep an eye on your oil pressure at all times. So I already see a better way of running my gauges wires, but yeah, I'll get back to you after I get this all situated, or a majority of it. I'm not planning on situating all the wiring today. This is gonna be taken to another day, but for this video I'll just get the wires ran to where I need it, just so everyone can see exactly how I went about it. Okay, I got the oil pressure gauge mounted in the pod. I have the wires running down with all the rest all collected right here and running down to wherever they end up going. I still have to hook up the power and the ground to figure out where I'm going to run that. I also have to organize this wiring mess down here and the wiring over there. I got to organize all that, and I don't have to change the orientation on my gauges, because that wire that runs all the way to the engine is like perfect length, so that's a good sign. I don't have to change that. So next, since the dash is out, like I said, I gotta organize all the wiring here, When I did the DX wiring to the SI wiring, I just kind of threw it in and did a really rough wiring where everything needs to go. I got to get it like nice and tight and organized looking. I know it really doesn't matter once the dash is all in, no one sees it, but it's just a peace of mind. So next step is going to be also getting new sealing, probably from Lowe's or something, put all around the air ducting, just so I know when I put my dash in, it seals nice and good, and I can take up the gap on over there where the AC delete ducting is. I'll show you how much wiring I got under the hood for that. It's coming, the wire for the pressure gauge is coming through the hole down here, and where'd it go? I have it all the way up here, so there's plenty of room, or plenty of length to get to where the oil pressure switch is, which is literally straight down from right here. So I'll have plenty of length to reach that, maybe even a little extra, which I'll just pull the slack back through. But yeah, she's coming along. I also need to install, when I go to put the pressure switch for the oil pressure gauge, I'm going to install not power steering, but the steering rack bushings, since the car is going to be up in the air. I think that's going to take care of, that's going to take care of underneath the front end of the car. Next will be installing the blocks, toe in, toe out, rear trailing arm adjusters, which they're brand spanking new. I might not even actually end up doing these, because I know the stock ones you can adjust them. We'll see. We'll see when I put it up in the air and I look under it. Alright YouTube, that's going to finish up this video of the CRX. So today I just got the dash out. I installed the AC ducting, delete ducting. In turn, got rid of this big behemoth box for the AC. I don't live in California or a hot state, so I mean, don't get me wrong, during the summer in Pennsylvania it does get quite warm, but let's put the damn windows down. I ran the wires for the old pressure gauge. I have to finish that yet. Organize all the wiring underneath the dash. A lot of vacuuming. I found, nuts and crumbs from a mouse from this car sitting in the garage over the winter. Clean all of that up, then I can start putting the dash all back together. When I go to put the dash all back together, I'm going to clean each piece nice and clean before I put it back all in. Then after that, I'm going to move on to the next few things. I do have a new radiator hose for the top. I have another one of those coming, orange, so it matches everything else under the hood. Unfortunately, it won't be here until probably the end of the month, hopefully sooner. It's coming from Taiwan or something like that. But yeah, other than that, I can't think of anything else. Yeah, so that's going to be the end of this video. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned for more of the CRX, a lot more to come. This video wasn't a how-to or anything like that. It was just me working on the CRX. Sometimes I just get tired of explaining how to do things. I just want to get it done. My time is limited. I travel for a living, and I only get time in the shop one day out of the week, because I'm usually gone during the week on the road for work. So Alright, take it easy. Have a good night. See you in the next video.